We're still talking higher education in Africa with the Higher Education Summit in Dakar, Senegal. We were enraptured with Dr. Kofi Annan's discussion and some of the very interesting correlations between education and the development of the African continent.
Partnerships with the private sector can overcome the mismatch between the needs of African employers and the skills of its young graduates. Otherwise, university degrees will not secure the jobs graduates expect, and that is a recipe for social and political as well as economic trouble.
My name is EbonyLife, University of Ibadan. My question is to ask, how do we situate good governance and credible leadership as an instrument for fostering revitalization for higher education? Because to get this done, we will need to have credible leadership, not only at national level, but even at university level.
Thank you. Very direct question.
The first question was on the issue of United Africa or African Union. And I'm going to answer this in the presence of Dr. Zuma, who has the African Union.
But I think you, the young man, he said when we were young, but he still seems very young. Yeah, wanted to know if one can have an effective African Union, perhaps a bit like the European Union. And as some of you know, late President Gaddafi pushed very hard for this. Objectively speaking, I think that is going to be extremely difficult. The European Union started with 6 countries and is today 28. And they started in much better conditions than we have in Africa today to try and create an African Union with over 50 states with different economic levels of development and have a type of European Union system or an African project similar to the European is going to take a long, long time. I obviously not thinking of myself, I would not see it if it happens. You may see it, but I really think the better way to go is really cooperate at the sub-regional level as we are doing. If we have 4 or 5 regions effectively working together and trying to cooperate on some of the major issues which are hampering African economic development. And in fact, earlier on I mentioned 2, energy and infrastructure are the 2 main blocks on African development. If we can really develop our infrastructure, link up our rail and road systems, improve intra-African trade, if we're able to do that, intra-African trade in south of the Sahara alone could be increased by 250 to 300 billion over 10 years. If we can have electricity resolved and link up our grids and make sure everybody has electricity and we don't have the power outages we have. If you're a businessman and for 100 days you don't have electricity, how do you assure your clients that you give them steady supply and your business will flourish? It doesn't. When people have to travel miles to get water, so if we can work at the sub-regional level, develop our infrastructure, our electricity, and cooperate and improve intra-African trade, I think we would be moving in the right direction. But honestly, I do not see a united African project along the lines of the European Union, as some of us often wish for, but we can improve trade and cooperation.
The issue is incentive regimes. For 1 minute. And we got that. We have a study on 3 institutions on the incentive regimes. What do they incentivize? And we have found some very interesting things. We also found that Makerere in 2013, their research budget, external research budget was 90 million, which was the same as the University of Cape Town. So it's not a simple matter of a shortage of money. It's how the money is actually used and who's got control over the money. In the South African system, in 2008, the government introduced a major incentive for publications, $10,000, $15,000 per publication for institutions. And you can see a very interesting change in the publication behavior of the South African academics. Finally, you will read the conclusion yourself.
One other thing that I want to say at this point, in answer to Dr. Patrick's comment earlier on the gap, how to fill the gap, and how private sector comes in. I will cite an example of what goes on in Nigeria today. The setting up of what we call the tertiary education tax fund, in that case, some percentage of profit by all the little liability companies are put together, about 2%, put together into resource as a fund to be able to now help the infrastructure development of the institutions. Currently, only public institutions are enjoying it. I'm sure in the future with public and private institutions are doing it. And as that money grows, it will help to take over some of the infrastructural funding requirements of the institutions. But though not enough, at least it's doing filling some gap. And that's how we generate some of the funds that we needed to meet the gap as we move on into the near future. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break now. We've had to pause the special reports because we have to take a quick break. But when we get back, we'll pick up where we left off, and we have today's trivia question. Don't go anywhere. Because it's the weekend and I'm in a very charitable mood, I've decided that today's trivia question will be really easy. What is the second largest movie industry in the world in terms of output, and where is it located? You guys already know the answer now, but let's finish the special report first and then we'll talk about it. It wasn't only lectures and talk, there were ample opportunities to laugh and interact in a more informal setting. But before that, a talk with former Nigerian Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili.
I feel so much into conversations about education and the importance of human capital for Africa's development that I'd rather go to an arid land where human capital is being discussed than go to a parasitical environment where the discussion is about sharing the natural resources endowment. I frankly have been quoted to say that I look forward to when there is a drying up of oil in my own country, simply as a way of registering my dissatisfaction with the fact that development strategy has, in many ways, lost its potency on our continent because of the impasse priority that's been given to human capital vis-a-vis the issues of natural resources endowment. Is it right that the organizers of this summit, being intellectuals, have in their typically grand manner assumed that universities are so important that they are the linchpin for that future? If they're right, do we have any evidence elsewhere to support our dream of a future Africa where universities shape the progress and prosperity of societies?
And then dancing with Senegalese singing sensation Kumba Gawli Seck. Whoever thought academic types could have this much fun?